It's
Yo.
powerful, man.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we should throw a question in there just to kind of, you know, like the sexual question. They kind of broke the monotony a little bit. You know what I mean? It's like we all kind of opened up, and got a chance to kind of get a little deeper within ourselves. And so I felt like that made all the other questions phenomenal when we answered them. You know what I mean? So we might want to think about that. Just throw some in there that kind of makes us a little bit more emotional, in some sense. You
Yeah,
know,
that was
you know,
good.
it did. Yeah.
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 Yes.
Yeah.
I wanted to add something to that polygamy deal. Um, Something I've noticed with reading history and when it comes to polygamy in past societies is it seems that polygamy seemed to occur when wealth was abundant. So when a man acquired a lot of wealth, at that time it was common for him to have a lot of women,
Hmm.
um, and you kind of wouldn't have a lot of women if you didn't have the wealth, anyways. Kind of goes hand in hand in today. Guys that are generally are mourning with one person, they tend to have a lot of money. Um, but also on a side note, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but for me, for like a man or like I do believe in the one flesh idea. If when me and my wife, we are one flesh, we are one, and for accomplishing, if you plan on doing something in this world and making a difference, I think that being with one person sexually is really important for strength. Um, and when you spiritually, and when you start sleeping with more and more people, to me, you share part of yourself with that person, and that spiritual strength, in my opinion, goes away. What do you guys think?
That's kind of. Go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, well, again, I think it's always intentions. And so when I looked, so for instance, I used to read a lot about indigenous people of Turtle Island, which would be America. And so, when it came to rebuilding the tribe, you know, they would allow a man to have multiple women. You know what I mean? Because we need to rebuild the tribe. We need to bring more men or bring more children into the tribe itself. And so I think it is. I believe, through the Western world and through the church, it has. So even statistic wise, I looked up a statistic. When it comes to polygamy, there is a more of a trustworthy concept in polygamy than it is in monogamous relationships. You know what I mean? A woman not tell you that you can't sexually perform that well, or that her ex-boyfriend was better than you. You see what I'm saying? Or whatever the case may be. So there's a lot of lies that go with that. And a lot of couples just tolerate people. They just tolerate themselves. They don't really love you. And we don't, and honestly, what is love? I mean, I know we brought that up earlier. You know what I mean? People really don't love. If you ask any couple that's been together 40, 50, 60 years, they don't say it was love. Some people even say exaggeration. I exaggerate about who he is to manifest who I want him to be, or vice versa. You know what I mean? So I just think that, through the Christian concept, we have really lost what we really believe is right within us. But yet again, in the eyes of religion, it's not right. When you think about, during the Salem witch trials, women were promiscuous. They were getting killed for being promiscuous. So if your husband, if your wife wanted to have sex with you more than one time a day, you were promiscuous, and they were burning you at the stake for that. You see what I'm saying? So I
Yeah.
feel like the church, yeah. So I feel like now, again, when it comes to my own personal relationship, no, I don't want that. I'm like Chris. I enjoy my wife, and I wouldn't want to hurt my wife or hurt the relationship with my family in general. But do I believe if there is a I know a couple guys who have polygamous relationships, and they do just fine. You know what I mean? But again, I believe it's always about the intentions. You know what I mean? My
Yeah.
wife, no matter what I do, there's no woman in this world that how can I say this? There's no woman in this world that can treat me like my wife, because me and wife have something special. You see what I'm saying? And so to step out on her would be unnecessary. You know what I mean? But if she wanted to bring somebody in, or here's another example. I had a buddy of mine tell me that his wife was having surgery and she was going to be out for 12 weeks. And she says, "Hey, I'm going to be out for 12 weeks. I can't do anything. So I'm allow you to do things until I'm properly healed." He didn't do it, but it's the fact that his wife would allowed him or gave him the pathway to do so. Do you know what I mean? Or if your wife, or somebody's wife has cancer and they can't, do you just not have sex? Do you know what I mean? If she tells you, "Okay, I want to open this up for you," you can be happy too, because I love you. And again, which we're going to use that word love goes in so many different directions. And people say I love you, and it's always a great thing, but we might spank our kids because we love them also. You feel what I'm saying? So I guess my whole point is that, I believe it works for a lot of people, and I believe it doesn't work for a lot of people. But I find out that whatever works for that particular couple, let it be. But I'm open to it, not necessarily with my wife, but I'm open. I wouldn't necessarily judge somebody if they were, because to me, it's always about the intentions.
Yeah, you're right. And what's up, Robert?
I know. In the beginning, as you gentlemen are discussing, in the very beginning of antiquity, it was polygamous. There was
Hmm.
no, no,
Paganism.
yeah, it was just that way, and so when you
Hmm.
talk about populating tribes and this and that and the others, when they broke apart, that's exactly what they did. Now, they couldn't populate with this certain group or with that certain group, but they
Right.
did,
Right.
do those type of things. And, to the point that Chris made, it does seem to be that way with wealth comes to be that, well, they do branch out and do, polygamy with multiple women, things like that. And Corey made a great point too about, um, when you spread yourself like that, you are giving a piece of yourself to each one of those acts. A piece of you is separated and it's going to that. And so you yourself change. And so will your relationship, because the core of you and all that you have is not there, because you've given it to this person and to that person and to that person and to that person. So that is going to be a problem within itself. And to what you said too, Haru, the young man, his wife was having surgery, and she said, "You can go out and you can do this." Emotion never leaves any one of these situations. The emotions that
Hmm.
we have will always be there, and that big one is trust. And you can say this, that, and you can say you can do this, and that, and the other. But once you plant that little bit of seed of doubt, even though you have given that permission, your mind never stops. Your mind is always ticking. You may not be there, but you will be envisioning what took place, what was said, this and that. You will never be able to come back from that. So I know you can do all this and you can say these things, but I think, once that seed is planted and once that trust is broken, I don't see how you could ever truly recover from that and to have a strong, lasting, and meaningful relationship.
Yeah, yeah. But I think polygamy, if the people, if the couple agrees on it, I believe it's stronger. I do. I believe in monogamous relationships. The couples, they don't tell the truth. They just don't, because they don't want to hurt the person, or they don't want to be real about it. You know what I mean? So again, you go 25 years without having sex. You go 10 years without having sex. You know what I
I mean,
mean?
that just comes down to love, though. If that happens, a monogamous relationship is that bad. That's because they're not actually loving each other.
And
Because
I
I
question that.
mean,
What is love? I question that. Tell me
love,
what love is.
love. I believe love is charity. Love is for utmost. It's a choice, and so for love to be charity, for one, that is a choice. You have to choose to be charitable. Um, but love, what is charity? Servitude. It's service. Love is service to another person. It's choice. It's not a feeling. And a lot of young men, a lot of young people, um, they're never taught what, in my opinion, what love is. Love is not a feeling. It's not a feel good thing. It's not a dopamine response. Um, the love is, in my opinion, it's a choice. I don't think love is an emotion. I think we can experience love as an emotion, um, and we can experience love in emotion, and that can range from feeling good to being hateful, and all the things in between that, to being evil as well. But love, in my opinion, is not an emotion; it's an act, and acts have to be a choice. And some people never act on, never show their love to another person, um, and that's why they are that way. They never show service.
So
Yeah. Yeah. You know what you said there too, Corey, about attributes. Love is, it isn't just one thing. It's everything that you can think of that it takes to make a relationship work, whatever that may be. It's all those things. It's the discipline. It's the hate. It's the love. It's the anger. It's the empathy. It's the courage. It's the discourage. It's whatever it takes for you to have that belief and to build that foundation in order to make whatever that is work, whatever that concept means to you, whatever you are made of. To me, that's what love is.
That's what makes love so beautiful. Is um, since it is a choice and it is an action. When you have that spiritual connection and that closeness and trust with another person, like for myself with my wife, when you're able to tell your wife you trust her enough, because of love, your deepest, darkest things that you've ever done in your life, things that you would only keep to yourself, and you say that to that person still chooses to love you, and that's what makes love powerful. Is it's a choice.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, but I mean, I just again, I hear what you guys are saying. I hear what you guys are saying, but I just don't think love carries us all the way through. I just don't. You know what I mean? I don't. Um, we say we love somebody, but then I feel like that we only love because of intentions. It's going back to that intention. You love because your wife can does X, Y, Z. But if your wife steps out on you and cheats, sometimes that love just falls. It falls to the wayside because you can't believe she did something, but she made a mistake like anybody else. Your child, I had my son, and when he was six,
Well,
7 years old, he tried to stick a stick pin in the socket, right? And out of love, I had to spank him, right? And it hurt, right? It hurt.
yep, yep.
But out of love, I had to do that. And so I think we look at love being one-sided about the greatness of love, which there's to me there's multiple sides to love, right?
So what did Christ say what love is? Well, how should you love your wife as a man?
When it comes, I feel like Christ is more talking about oneself. You know what I mean? When he talks about the bride and groom, he's talking about within himself.
Well,
And
yeah,
but go ahead. But no, go ahead. Go ahead.
but there's multiple meanings within that with that one statement that he talks about. But it says you should love your wives as Christ loved the church. Um, and so say your wife cheats on you, okay, and you think that breaks up love. Well, love is an action, and so if you decide, fuck her, I'm done with it, and leave her behind, okay, that's an action. Or you can continue to love her, and this is where are you going to be Christ-like or not? And this is a very difficult thing to do. Is if your wife did cheat on you, are you going to actually forgive her? What if you did the cheating?
Right.
What if you did the cheating and you wanted to uh, still be with your wife though? Okay,
Right.
that's required her to, out of act of love, to forgive you, and that's very difficult to do. But that it's also what Christ asks us to do, to love your neighbor as yourself. And so you would want someone to forgive you if you did that and hurt someone, right? And so same back to say if your wife cheated on you, to forgive her if you truly loved her, right?
Mm-hmm.
You guys would still be together regardless of that act because that's love is still a choice,
But then
and it's hard.
yeah, some would say, well, you didn't love me because you cheated. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
Yeah.
it kind of goes. So I think I tell my wife, I do tell her I love her. Don't get me wrong. We use a different word. We use a kamakatana, which is a Cherokee word, which means love. In Numana, it's not really Cherokee. It's Numana. And so me and my wife, my kids, we use that. Even when I call her, we have a certain text that we send it's related to love, but it's not the word love itself. I've learned that studying English that it's a bastard language, meaning that it pulls from a lot of different languages, right? And so I try to step outside of that, right? And I'm with you, Chris, that love is an action word, right? But I believe that it flows again, I feel like it flows so much deeper than just an action word, because it's a spiritual word, like you even brought up with Christ. Christ says, love me like you love the church. So love me like you love yourself, in a sense, right? But yet again, I just believe that it's not really love that keeps people together. For women, when you start studying psychologists, they start saying women want respect, and women want loyalty, right? I think Corey just put that out, but men want respect, right? There's no love
Yep.
even in the equation. You know what I mean? So a woman just wants you to be loyal to what you do, to what you say you're going to do, which is part of the trust. But then men just want to be respected, meaning that if you go out and your wife looks at another man, does she really love you? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And that happens every day. You know what I mean? And so that might hinder a man in his understanding of what love is. Do you know what I'm saying? And so I'm with you guys on love. I'm not trying to be difficult. But I just think it takes more than love to keep a relationship going. I do. I think it takes more than that.
There's we're not saying. Go ahead, bro. But we're not saying anything wrong. We're not saying anything
Oh yeah,
wrong.
absolutely not.
No, no.
For what Chris is saying,
That's
to
facts.
to give to somebody cheating to say that you forgive you is a damn sure a difficult thing, because that is actually
Hmm.
a true act of forgiveness, because you just
Hmm.
can't say it. You got to mean it. That means you got to move on from that situation and
Right.
still put forth that all that love and condition that you had before. That is that is hard.
Hmm.
That would be a
Hmm.
very hard situation. And to what you're talking about, Haru, I agree with you too, because if you with somebody for 20, 30, 40 years, that is more than just love. That is more
Right.
than just love.
Right.
That takes that takes maximum effort to do
Hmm.
that. That's no easy task as well. To the same person every single day, and through all the trials and tribulations that comes along with
Yeah.
life, that there's no, as we can see, there's no wrong answer
Right.
to this
Right.
question. It just all depends on
Absolutely.
what how you view that question for sure.
That's so
Yeah.
true. Perception is key, and I
Yes.
agree with all y'all. I do. I do.
Yeah.
I do. Hmm. Hmm. That's facts. That's facts. Yeah. Yeah. That's
But
facts.
you say you're saying loyalty, brother, but like really, well, that is love. You're wanting loyalty. That is love, and part of being in a relationship is communication. And you should know what your husband or what your wife wants. And if respect is something that's big to you, that's something that you should communicate to your wife. And if she does love you, she is going to give you that respect, and that's how you receive love. Love can show up in many different ways. As you were saying, like when you have to spank your kid,
Hmm. Hmm.
that's not ooey gooey love,
Right.
but that's still a form of love.
Right.
And then being loyal to someone, in my opinion, that's a form of love.
Right.
Um, being loyal to someone when it costs you pride, that's a form of love, in my opinion.
It all
Yeah.
matters.
It all
Absolutely.
matters,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. It does.
And that Cherokee phrase that you said, so in English, try to translate that.
There's no translation in English.
So as I know, it's a lot of language are emotional based, and we don't have that in the English language. But is there a way you can somewhat describe that?
The scribe. Well, I mean, to us, it just means love, but to us, it's just a little bit deeper rooted because, um, again, like I said, we're not so commonly based. I mean, I have to do business. I have to deal with people every day, right? But
Yeah,
when and my wife, when we communicate our kids, we communicate totally different in our household. And so but it works for us because we kind of step out. Even when I noticed Corey the other day, he was on here, he used some sign language, right? That's part of an action. You see what I'm saying? And so that's a little bit more symbolic, when you're putting that action, physical action into that, right? But when it comes to a kamakatana, there is no English version to that. It's rooted in a particular indigenous language.
so
um
is it could it be similar to like I know you or I see you?
um it's just I guess it's like, when it comes to my wife and I, it's one of those things where regardless of what we do, um there would be truth in us, right? Truth in us. Me and my wife, we look to evaluate ourselves every single night. Like we sit down, I evaluate myself, I tell her what I could do better. She evaluates herself, she says what she can do better. And then we come together and see what we can do better as a family, right? Uh, People who love each other
Yeah,
don't
yeah, right
necessarily do
on.
that, right? You know what I'm saying? They I mean, I know people, not gonna put any names out there, where, I know somebody who's been married 40, 55 years, but they argue every single day, right? They're criticized every single day. But they say, well, love keeps us together. But love really doesn't keep you together because you criticize, you argue, you see a big booty on the TV, and you rather have that than what's at home. Because again, I believe that people put love in the midst of, I'm tolerating what you do. That's not worth getting divorced because you've been married 55 years and finances and this and this and this. So I just don't, and I know biblically what love is based upon the Bible. Um, but you know what? Even the Egyptians, when they were pointing out something, they 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 always said, well, or they would say that Osiris and Isis, their love was like a brother and sister, right? Now some people took that as them being really brother and sister, right? But they looked after each other. There was something there might be different when you have your brother and sister versus your wife. When you raised with somebody like that and you become intertwined where you actually feel them versus somebody like your wife where it's just based upon well she's pretty, she suits me. It's just a different intention. I guess I feel like it's just different intentions when there we go. Superficial is the word. Absolutely. It's superficial. And so I believe that, if some for some men, if their wife came home with webbed feet, they're done. You know what I mean? Or they couldn't have sex, they're done. You know what I mean? And love was driven to them for so long, but love is now based upon an intention. So since you can't give me that anymore, I'm not loving you as much. I don't love you like I used to. How can you fall out of love with somebody? That should be another question. How do you
That's
fall out of love with somebody? Yeah, I think it's conditional. I do. I think everything is conditional. You
when it
know,
comes to I believe like all you're saying, like when you're with your wife and you're saying you guys communicate every day, like, hey, what can I do to to be better? What can you do to be better? And you guys talk about that.
Mm,
To me, that's love. You guys are showing each other love. Because in my opinion, love goes back to being service.
right,
And when you
right,
serve someone, that means you're doing something for them that's going to benefit them without anything in return.
right, right. Yeah, yeah. I'm with you on that. Yeah, I'm with
And
you on
I,
that.
I believe that's love. Like everything you're saying that you do with your wife, I think that's love because you guys are loving each other. And so, I mean, to me, it's still love.
You're
Okay,
all right.
okay.
We're all right. It's whatever that word
Yeah,
means to you. I mean, we're
yeah.
all right.
That's
There's
fact.
nothing here that said is wrong.
Right.
Not one
Right.
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
Not one
and
thing.
and I'm with Chris. I mean, I know exactly. I
Absolutely.
feel exactly what you're saying.
Hmm.
But
You,
I feel like I've lived that approach. You know what I mean? But I feel like when it comes to my wife now, you know, we just, man, we had to step out of that. You know what I mean? And I feel like we had to go into something else because we seen a lot of love around us, but it wasn't love. You know what I mean? I mean, somebody being sexual assaulted, you're loving you. I'm loving you. I'm protecting you. I'm keep, and but they use that word, but yet again, there's no love there. And so I feel like for my wife and I, we just had to step out of that and and I feel like that it really made our relationship like tight. You know what I mean? Like tight. And so and like you said, when it comes to relationship, you know, um, it's been driven by love, which I fully understand you, Chris. I fully understand Corey and RP. But I don't know, man. It's just something different for us. I just have to say that. It is. It's just
gotcha.
something different for us.
Connected on
We did. I mean, bruh, I
almost
mean,
like quantum entanglement, so to speak. Back then.
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, my wife literally left everything to come move to me in the middle of goddamn Missouri and live on excuse me, to live in the woods with no restroom, no hair salon, no grocery store nearby. You know what I mean? And we connected on the level that is to me beyond love. You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
That's beyond love. And so but to you know, when I communicate with
Fullness.
people, and I can say that too. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I mean, and I like Corey. I used to be out there. I used to wild out bad, bad. But when I go and I do my service, I put my uniform on, and and these different women are walking up to me, but it don't phase me. It doesn't phase me. It doesn't phase me. You know what I'm saying? And so, like I said, man, we just use something that I feel like is a little deeper for us that has really kept us strong, and are strong and mighty.
Well, King, she proved to you. She proved to you everything you just said without a shadow of a doubt.
Real talk, real talk. Yeah.
She proved to you everything what mattered to
Mm-hmm.
you. She proved
Mm-hmm.
to you
Mm-hmm.
without a shadow of a doubt that you ain't got nothing to worry about, and that
Yeah.
meant something to you.
Yes. Yes. My wife told me, she's like, literally, if I just want to be in your life.
That's it.
I just want to be in your life. If I'm just your friend, if I'm somebody you talk, I just want to be part of your life. You know what I mean? And it took me a minute to let that register. Like, I'm thinking like she's a stalker or something. Like, what are you talking about? Just and when I stopped and I grew into what she was saying, man, I seen it. I seen it, bruh. And um, so yeah, man, I love working with my wife. I love working out with her. I love being around her. You know what I mean? And so I feel like the love I feel like something deeper than love is carrying us, and I do. I believe I could even be spiritual. I believe it's God given. You know what I'm saying? And God, like I said, when I met her, she literally told me, I feel like I knew you. I've known you for years. I feel like I knew you before I knew you now in this lifetime. And I felt the same way, bro. And so it's a heavy heart in there. You know what I mean? And two, then I tell my wife everything. I mean, we talk. But anyway, let's move on.
Hey,
Let's
hey,
move on.
Mackie.
You're gonna have
Hey,
me start
Mackie.
crying in this mofo, bro.
Yo, let me.
Let's get some of that. Let's get some of that. So I'll be the only one. Yeah.
That's what's up. True, true, true. And that's powerful, bro. That's powerful. True. Hmm. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Boy, we all gonna be in the red light tonight, boy. Our wives ain't gonna know what to think about us when we get off this podcast.
Now I'll tell you, man, I want to share something since we're doing this. And
Go ahead.
so
Go ahead, preach, Chris. Go ahead and preach.
when me and my wife first started dating, we pretty much everything went pretty quick with me and my wife. We got together. Now we've been going to school since the 5th grade together.
Oh, that's
But we were never friends. We never talked in school. The only time we ever communicated was she said in seventh. I don't remember this. She said 7th grade. She sat behind me in math class, and I had turned around and whispered to her that she had a booger in her nose. Um, right, right, and but that's other than that. That's we never spoke. But apparently, we had a lot of classes together. 7th grade, we were all so that was 2001 when 9/11 happened. We were in science class together, so we had all these classes together throughout middle school and high school. I don't really. I was working 40-hour jobs in high school, so I didn't have any friends. But anyways, we met each other again after graduation when we were 27 or 28 in college, just going to a community college here in our area, and started dating. Now, at the same time, she was seeing another guy that had lots of money,
Mm.
and he got really jealous of me. Saw what type of car I was driving. Apparently, brought it up quite a few times because I was driving old, beat up Toyota Corolla. Had an old 2001 Police Interceptor.
Don't you still have that Corolla?
No, I sold
Okay.
that one, and I got another one.
Okay.
But anyways, and he had quite a bit of money, and trying to win her back. Bought her a big necklace, all kinds of things, and I was a trash man, dude. And this guy lived in a very nice area, heated floors, and I thought I was nothing, and she chose me over that.
Yeah.
That told me a lot about my wife and who she is,
True.
and
That's facts.
and what she values in life.
Right.
And that's another reason why we're married.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what's up. I love
And
that.
also our first date. So she drove out to my house to meet, and she showed up in a brand new 2013 Honda Pilot, leather seats and all this shit. And I had my little 96 Corolla that the only door that opened on it was the driver door. And I told her, I said, we're going to my car. I said, because the girl ain't driving me on our date. And she went in my car and she asked me where we were planning on taking her. And I told her I'm going to Michael Steak Shalah was this fancy restaurant in the area. I had made a reservation. She was like, no, that's too fancy. I ain't going there.
Yeah.
We go to Outback Steakhouse.
Yeah, that's what's up, bro. That's a good one. That's a good one right there, bro.
Yeah.
Team folk. Awesome, man.
I'm ready to sign off, guys.
That's
Yeah.
right, brother.
Yeah, we
Good
jump
stuff,
off.
Kings. Good stuff, man. All right. We already got what we're going to read for next Sunday, King. So, if y'all need anything, hit me up.
Okay. Gotcha.
10-4, back at you, man. Back at you.
Love
All
y'all,
right,
man.
good
Love
one,
y'all
fam.
very
All right,
much,
man. Love
Kings.
y'all too. Appreciate y'all. Good one.
Yes, sir. Peace.